Hello, I'm Patti Lucia, and I'm the host of Storybridge. Every month, there are hundreds of commemorative days, national days, international days, on topics ranging from mothers to fathers to redheads to turtles to all kinds of awareness days. And these are wonderful topics for stories from all over the world, from people in all different backgrounds. So every month, I'll be making connections between a wide range of stories that are connected to the commemorative days of that month. The following is just one of the many conversations I'm having with people from all over who have all kinds of stories to share. So please join me on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. for Storybridge. I would love to hear your story. Humans are, we're weird. I imagine
I
if
think
there
it's
were like,
great.
they're like if otherworldly beings came to Earth and were observing us, which I think that they probably already have.
Currently.
They're already here, kind of hanging out incognito, which apparently, there'll be a lot of those stories coming forth now that things are kind of opening up about that. That's a whole other thing. By the way, there's one of these months. Oh yeah, July. July, it's on because July 2nd is UFO Day. Ooh, we're gonna have so much fun. Oh, so I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead or anything, but I imagine
weird. We're asking for weird occurrences now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you dive in and it shows up. You're talking about me?
Yeah. Our ears were burning all the way, all the way up there.
I feel like technology is so interconnected with the universe that like you put something out on the internet, like that's infinite. You can delete it and it is still there. It is not gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could write something on a piece of paper, you can carve it into stone. Like that has the opportunity to disappear or, be whatever, destroyed.
So you wanna try another topic here?
Sure.
All right. We've got naked gardening, donuts.
So great.
Apple pie, bees, riding your bike to work, turtles, redheads. Oh, and rescuing a dog. All in May.
The first time I dyed my hair red, I had a mullet. I had a mullet and I thought that dyeing my hair red would make it better. It was a terrible decision.
How old were you?
God awful. I was 12. I think I was in 7th grade. I feel like I was in 7th grade. I wore a hoodie to school that day to try and hide it and everybody saw it. I dyed it like bright red. Like I think it was magenta, L'Oreal Feria, like, box dye. And I thought that was like gonna set it off. I was gonna be edgy. It was gonna be cool. I was in middle school, like hopping between being like, someone that wears like Sean John clothes and someone who wants to wear like Janko jeans and chains and black eyeliner and lipstick, but I wasn't allowed to do any of that. So the hair dye was what took me there. I've also always had a fascination with redheads. The Little Mermaid was like my first. So yeah, but it just did not go with the mullet. It was just not, it was not
the red with the mullet.
Thing.
Yeah, didn't go. So you have natural red in your hair though, right?
Yeah, but my hair's, I haven't had like my hair natural in so long. I think there's like natural amber tones to it, but it's brown, generally like a dark brown.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, there was a product called Sun-In.
Yes.
Right. And so you sprayed
it's still around.
Is it still around?
Yes.
Why? Why? I don't know. But, so we wanted to lighten our hair. So my sisters and I, we sprayed Sun-In on our hair, and then we
like comb it out.
Yeah. And then we went out and we were in the sun. And my hair, their hair lightened and my hair turned red. And so
How
Yeah,
cool.
so clearly I have red highlights in my hair or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
I was mortified because a few days later I had to get my senior picture.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, and my hair, so my hair was red for my senior picture.
You didn't
Oh my
like it?
God. I was embarrassed by it because
Mm.
people, yeah, people were like, "Oh my God, you have red hair." And it's not, red hair is very interesting because, there's a reason why there's the expression redheaded stepchild. Like, redheads kind of get a bad,
Discriminated for
yeah,
sure.
they get a bad rap. And
Yeah.
I would have to say though, for as embarrassed as I was my senior year when I had got red hair from Sun In and I had to take my senior picture in it, I have always been enamored with redheads. Like redhead, like I love redhead. Yeah.
Never thought orange and yellow hair. Like,
Mm,
like those are not the shades of red that you want unless it comes naturally out of your head. And I'm like, this is the closest I'll ever get to being like strawberry blonde.
yeah.
This is it's so fun. My first crush was a redheaded boy.
Oh, yeah.
Danny Burak. So funny. So
Right?
funny.
The
Yeah.
redheads, when you think about the redheads that you've dated or had a relationship with, oh yeah. I was never really attracted to blondes, but redheads would just they kind of just drove me crazy. But and to this
I
day,
love that.
yeah, to this
No,
day,
same.
yeah, I see a redhead and it's like, oh my God. But you know what's really interesting about redheads? They are genetically different. They are
That's so cool.
genetically, they are very different. For instance, redheads have a high pain tolerance.
Really?
They have a higher pain tolerance. I had a dear friend has to,
Wild.
whenever she's had surgery, they don't give her extra anesthesia. Maybe they can't, but she'll end up waking up in the middle of the procedure and they have to give her more.
Wow.
She's a redhead. She's a deep redhead. And
That's
yeah,
wild.
during the Middle Ages, having red hair was associated with being a witch. There are all these associations with redheads, but I honestly think it goes way, way back. I tend to get kind of woo, like I'm totally into the woo.
I love that.
And I think that they're genetically different because they are traces of ancient beings that no longer live on Earth, like the Fae. Like
Ooh.
I honestly think like the Fae were mostly
I'm like, I'm
redheaded.
not, I didn't mess with any mushrooms, right? I was like looking around.
Yeah, you don't want to squish any mushrooms. That or yeah, or the giants. Here's another thing that is a
I
myth
was just
about,
reading about giants and
yeah.
like their biblical context, which is
Oh,
really interesting
oh
too.
yeah. Now, what's interesting about both giants and fae and redheads is that people believe they had no soul.
Yeah, I thought that was a joke. I didn't know that was a real
It's
thing.
a
Like
real
that
thing.
came from something real.
People actually believed that if you had red hair, you had no soul, and so you were always trying to steal other people's souls.
Wow.
Yeah, so thus
Wow.
the witchcraft kinds of rumors about redheads. So it's
That's
very,
crazy.
and the thing is about these stories, we call them lore. They're very old stories, and they
Mm,
kind and you think, oh my God, how could anyone have thought that? But the thing is, it comes from somewhere.
yep.
It comes from somewhere. Even that crazy stuff in Greek myth,
Yeah.
with Zeus and the gods and all of that. It's like, okay, you can say it's all metaphor. And some of it may be, but there is something to these stories. There are
Yep.
kernels of truth, and it might be impossible for us to ever really get at what that kernel is. But,
Mm,
it starts with with a some kind of kernel of truth. So,
I feel like science is starting to like kind of edify a lot of these things.
yeah, like we create stories, lore, myth,
Yeah.
about these mysterious things, and the thing is that our moon doesn't behave like other moons in other places. It's supposed to spin. Why doesn't our moon spin? And so then, because that's such a big question, people create these stories as a way of understanding
Yeah.
why our moon doesn't spin. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's really that I find really interesting. So there are a lot of moon stories that
I
are
love that.
that's often what happens when we can't explain something
And I just think sometimes it's so big and so outside of like our understanding that
or
like
comprehension. Yeah.
until something happens and your perspective is shifted and
Hmm.
like suddenly you can see it differently than the way you've been seeing it all this time.
Right. Well, that's what's wonderful about literature, like the books that we read, because
Yeah.
often when we're reading a book, that's a good literature, we're reading like a really good story. There's something about that story or that piece of literature that causes the frame through which we look at our world to tilt just a little bit, and we observe something new to our knowing, to our consciousness, and it
Yeah.
changes us forever in terms of how we look at the world. And that is what's so powerful about story. A
Mm-hmm.
well told story really causes your framework, the frame through which you look at your world, to shift just enough for you to have those kinds of realizations,
Yeah.
to connect new dots. But it's really, really fascinating, the power of story. Thank you so much for watching this clip of an upcoming conversation on Storybridge. This is Patti Lucia, your host of Storybridge. I hope you join us there. I would love to hear your story.